So yeah, it's really good to be here. My name is Sam. I run a small social business based in Bristol. We're called Love to Ride, and what we do is we basically get more people bikes. So it's all about behavioural change and encouraging people to consider how they move about, and also working with cities and with businesses to look at creating better places for people, which is really what it's all about now. You know, how can we actually coexist with different groups who are travelling around in very different ways, whether it be by public transport, by foot, by bike, or of course by car, and creating nice spaces for us to be able to do that. So I've just got to... Oh.
You okay?
Got it, yeah, okay. So we do a lot of engagement and social and marketing media. We've actually set up, for a bit of fun, we set up a Love to Ride Frome website, which is there, if anyone wants to have a look at that, lovetoride.net/Frome. And you can see there's, I think Emma is solely responsible for uploading all the photos here actually, but there's some really great photos from some recent activity at the independent market, some new bike racks at Frome Town Hall, but a lot of what we do around the sort of social media, even sort of social marketing side of things, is using the power of storytelling and photography and video now to encourage people to sort of share their experience of travelling sustainably and travelling by bike, and using that sort of peer motivation to be able to get some really good results. So the projects that we run, whether they be in sort of cities, businesses, or in fact in whole countries, tend to really run on the success of the individuals that are achieving these behaviours of travelling sustainably and potentially travelling by bicycle. I've thrown a few interesting pictures in here because I think it's important to remember actually kind of where we've come from. This is about 90 years ago, 80 years ago. It's the A1 cycleway that was being built. It's a segregated cycle path next to the A1, which is now under grass and bushes and all sorts of other stuff. Before the motor car really did sort of kick off in this country and globally, there was actually a lot of work being done to make sure that the cycle still played a part in society. And then, of course, we know what happened after that. And now what we're doing is trying to recover some of that stuff, you know, nearly 100 years later, to try and make some good headway. But I love the fact that the intention was there, even albeit it was a long time ago. Many of you may have seen this image. I just think it's really powerful. The image on the left shows a bus full of people. The image in the middle is 60 people, the same number of people, and their bicycles. And the image on the right is 60 cars, single occupancy cars in the city. And it gives you a really nice idea of, you know, the impact of different transport modes and what that can mean in a city, and it enables you to see stuff in a slightly different way. Clearly the most environmentally friendly one of all of those is the one in the middle. There are some amazing, I've just put the most amazing one up here, there are some amazing examples of cycling infrastructure all around the world. This is in Holland, it's the Hovenring, and it's basically a floating platform for cyclists so that the roundabout exists underneath them and people cycle up on top. That's a good example. This is also a much less expensive good example of where people have just got some stuff together and occupied a street, put some fake grass out and some seats. There's all sorts of ways we can encourage people to change their behaviour and consider how they move around and create new spaces out of existing ones that are much more likely to be able to, you know, encourage people to achieve these behaviours. There are also lots of examples of really rubbish cycling infrastructure, and it's always a bit fun just to look at some of these. You probably, if any of you ride bikes regularly, you probably see this stuff a lot. And yeah, we won't spend too much time looking at that. What's great about Frome is that there is actually a really lovely, I've been here for 8 years myself, living here. There's a really nice undercurrent of cycling initiatives happening, and I can see lots of familiar faces in the room, but from Frome's Missing Links, and the amazing work that charity is doing to connect the town to the countryside and to the National Cycle Network for future generations of people living in Frome, to the Bicycle Academy, obviously Cycles Maximus, the Cobble Wobble, I'd love to get that back in the town, and also, you know, things like the pump track. So there's lots and lots of work going on here. Really looking forward to having some sessions later on today to be able to talk to people about how we increase active travel, and especially cycling maybe in the town of Frome itself, to be able to create a town for our future generations, and one that we're really proud to live in. That's me done. Okay.